Yeah, I think we learned plenty in Sky Bet League 2 last weekend. We got 3 teams on 6 points at the top of the table. Get into those in a second. But Tranmere beat Shrews 4-0. That's going to lead us off. And what's the first thing that springs to mind when I think of Tranmere's 4-0 win against Shrewsbury? Well, quite a lot of thoughts about Shrews, which I'll come on to, but mainly Noan Kenner, Tranmere midfielder. Chomp. An absolute interception and midfield ball-winning masterclass here, and led to 2 goals in the first half. First, he won a big tackle. The ball was moved out wide. Really nice move from Tranmere to create a chance for Taylor Harris. Cut back, finished well. Good connection on the strike through the keeper's legs. Taylor Harris on loan from Luton. I've mentioned a couple of times that just in terms of personnel on paper, Tranmere's front line is something that I'd like to see refreshed or improved upon. And in Harris, early days, only 19 years old, came through at Reading before signing for Luton in 2024. Good start from him and Charlie Whittaker as well, they signed in the summer. Sort of dovetailed quite nicely behind Josh Davison, who scored the second goal after another Noan Kenner chomp in midfield. Davison latching onto it, left foot strike into the far corner, the sort of goal we haven't seen Josh Davison score many of. We've seen Omari Patrick do what he did quite a lot. He hit the post from 30 yards with a great strike and just tweaked the radar slightly, found the corner from 25 yards for the third, and set up Christian Dennis for 4-0 Tranmere. This was pretty brutal from a Shrews point of view because there was a huge gulf in class and in energy and intensity and in quality on the ball in every possible aspect between these two teams. Will Boyle was booked twice in a minute. He was booked for a foul out on the touchline, trotted back to the centre of the back of the defence. Free kick sent long in his direction, him and Davison. Something happened with him and Davison that saw the ref book him again, sent him off, just kind of sums things up. So, the positives for Tranmere at the moment, since Crosby took over 10 games before the end of last season, 22 points in 12 games, really strong points return. They're playing one of these kind of wonky 3 at the back formations that we see quite a lot at the moment, where you have Omari Patrick nominally playing left wing back, but basically playing as a left winger, really high and wide in possession and helping out as part of the back 5 out of possession, defending wide areas. Players like Brough playing left centre back really help with this. Bristow as well, who's injured at the moment. They allow you to do that, and I think it's working really well. The team reminds me a bit of Bradford tactics-wise from last season, partly because you've got Richie Smallwood, single pivot at the base in front of the 3 centre-backs, orchestrating. You got Kenner, the ball winner, and then Whittaker and Harris, as I mentioned, behind Davison. So really strong start for Tranmere, massive alarm bells for Shrewsbury. Like they looked like they were stuck in treacle, unsure of themselves, no connection, loose passes into midfield where Kenner was chomping at the bit. Just a horrendous game, a horrendous performance, and a poor start to the season for them. The teams that have come down from League One, this is a slight spoiler for the rest of this segment. The 4 teams that have come down from League One, 1-1, that was Cambridge on opening day.
Yeah.
Drawn 1, lost 4. Shrews among a group that are struggling a little bit. One team that very much isn't, Crewe, Alex.
Yeah, amazing start to the season. 2 wins in a row, and they were really impressive in a 2-0 home win against Accrington Stanley, an Accrington side that may be written off as a poor side by many, but I'm not really in agreement with that. Crewe, by far the better team and deserving to win. The first goal came, a really good strike from Reece Hutchinson, kind of slamming the ball into the top right-hand corner with his left foot, drifting in field from left back. And then youth team product, Callum Aegeus with a really good goal, again kind of slammed into the top left-hand corner from just outside the area. And that's what's exciting about this Crewe side, where Crewe 2 seasons ago, for the first half of the season under Lee Bell, a really fun watch, exciting team, who then had to change their playing style as they kind of fell over the line into the playoffs and really ground out a run to the playoff final. And then last season, again, kind of struggled to find that fluidity. Doing pre-season research about Crewe, it was hard to kind of get particularly excited about a lot of the young players. But now we're seeing it in action. You look through this Crewe team and you've got Aegeus on the left-hand side, who's 19 years old. You've got O'Reilly off the right, who's 21. Lunt in midfield, who's 20. Billington at right back, who's 21. This feels like what Crewe kind of should be, I guess, like a group of some loanees, some homegrown youth players who are given license to go out and perform and play freely. And that, at the moment, is working for them. If they can continue this and these players continue to if you think back to that Artel team, this is basically what it was, a smattering of experience, the likes of Dimitri and Thomas, but also, that crop of players and Dale and Kirk and the rest of them who all basically found their feet at this level or at first team level at the same time.
Pickering and G, Wintle.
Exactly.
What a team.
So let's see if this, it's, again, as we say with everyone, it's early days, but like on the basis of the first 2 games of the season, it feels like a big step forward from what we saw last season.
And the 2 most established young players, really, or at least 2 that were slated to be kind of star players, Taberner and Holacek, both injured to start the season as well. Both should come into now what is a midfield area, attacking midfield area with some really high performing players as well. The main thing that's standing out to me is the 2 first half blitzes, right, of Salford and now here, where they were just been excellent and then hung on, or not even hung on, then seen it out really well. We were calling them second half FC, you may remember, for their ability to pull off like crazy comebacks.
Yeah.
Last season, they only scored 18 goals in the first half of league games. That's 46 first halves. They scored 18 goals. This season, 5 already in 2 matches. Chesterfield also on 6 points. They won 2-0 against Cheltenham.
Yeah, and again, by far the better team. Cheltenham looked poor, especially until they were 2-0 down in this one. The first goal coming from Gordon, kind of prodding the ball over the line as it dribbled towards goal. Some suspicions of offside. He looked a bit sheepish as he ran off. He obviously couldn't really see from the angle that we had before Duffy scored a really well taken free kick into the bottom left hand corner. McFadden nearly scored a ridiculous goal where he had a shot from inside his own half, which was just tipped over the bar by Joe Day, and it did make me wonder, is it possible to pull off a good save from a shot inside the opposition's half? And I think the answer is yes, because I think he pulled it off. But yeah, Cheltenham pretty poor. They, I would say, kept the score to 2 for the most part. And pre-season forecasts of one of these teams being title challengers and one of these being in trouble, definitely playing out as it stands so far.
Well done, the forecasters. Fleetwood 2, Bristol Rovers 1 means Fleetwood are on 6 points and Rovers are on none. Will Davies, hello. 3 goals in his first 2 games. We were really excited from what we'd heard. His goal-scoring campaign with Sutton last season, but not just a goal scorer, a burly lad as well, someone who learned at the altar of Stephen Morrison, all elbows and aerial duels. And wow, he's taken to life in the EFL very nicely indeed. 2 goals here. If his goal against Barnet was, just down to endeavour and an error from the goalkeeper who he tackled to tap into an empty net, these were really nice. The first goal can't really get away from the fact that Bristol Rovers' team shape is absolutely horrendous. Some of the worst I've seen, with Fleetwood able to play the ball down the right-hand side and just kind of get in behind. It wasn't even a counter-attacking opportunity. It was just huge gaps in the Rovers' back line and no one covering space. A ball across from Bonds, who drifted out wide and finished off nicely by Davies. It's his second goal, his third of the season, that was most exciting. Again, slow to react defending from Bristol Rovers. Neil got on a loose ball and just played a ball over the top, which Davies anticipated, moved quicker than the centre-backs, was onside, showed strength to hold off the defender, control and finishing as well to score. So really, really exciting stuff. Rovers, quite a lot of territory in the second half at 2-0 down. It's easy to play without tons of clear-cut chances. They did score a goal on Makere being pulled back lightly and made it look like he'd had his neck broken and got a pen for it. But Fleetwood saw it out fairly well. So good start for them. The win at Barnet, backed up here, good win against Bristol Rovers. Looking at them, I think the starting 11 looks good. It all makes sense. Pete Wild's going to get a lot out of them. Not the deepest bench or squad. They've got loads of strikers like James Norwood and Ched Evans coming off the bench is great, and Coughlin to return as well. But I'd say in midfield, wing-back areas, and at centre-back, maybe not too deep, which could be something that causes problems down the line with injuries, but lots to be concerned about when it comes to Bristol Rovers. I highlighted some of it last week, particularly at the top of the pitch. I just don't really see this group of attacking players ever looking hugely dangerous consistently, and until I do, I won't really believe in them. And Daryl Clark is not a happy man, as you'd expect. Paul Warne probably is, because MK beat Barrow 2-0, in doing so kept their 6th clean sheet in a row.
Welcome to the party, MK Dons, I would say. This was more what I think certainly what I was expecting. Still yet to concede a shot on target this season, MK, which, when you consider Paul Warne and the way that they play, I think is a bit of a warning sign. And they were much better going forward here as well. The presence of Callum Paterson up front, as we kind of thought it might do in the betting show last week, completely changed their output. And it meant that whether it was Hepburn Murphy, who should have scored, it looked like he kept the ball in play, but it was flagged for a goal kick, which, to the naked eye, could be wrong, looked like the wrong decision after they zoomed in. Mendes-Lang looked really lively on the left-hand side. Paterson provided the assist for Gilby to score the first goal. And then I quite liked how the second goal came from a fast break, and it was a late run as the box converted by Paterson from the rebound, when he was probably the fifth or sixth player to actually get up to play, which maybe is suggestive of, the pace elsewhere in the side after some good work from the main down the right-hand side. But yeah, this was a dominant win by MK. And, off the back of the Oldham performance and result, understandable to think there may be teething issues. But I think if they play like they did on Saturday, teams are going to find it quite hard to get near them. And it's an ominous performance and result. Even though it took them a while to break the deadlock, they were in control throughout.
Newport were favourites for relegation, but teams finding it quite hard to beat them so far. Barnet fell to them in the League Cup preliminary round. Notts County couldn't beat them last weekend, and Crawley lost to them at home this weekend. Newport, as you'd imagine, having to soak up some pressure, shall we say. A bit of a euphemism for Crawley missed quite a lot of chances in the first half, and Nick Zanev had to make quite a lot of saves. Kabongo Shimanga had a real tough start in a Crawley shirt. He's missed a sitter in both league games so far. But we saw a really fun goal, I thought. Matt Smith, who we know has got technical quality above this level, just perhaps not the physicality to kind of back it up, with a great through ball for a deep run from Kai Whitmore. And his first touch was either genius or really lucky. He's kind of in behind, the goalkeeper's coming out. I think he understands that he's going to get there first. Instead of going round to the side of the keeper, like a lot of people do, he just did a really heavy touch that the goalkeeper could never, wasn't going to be able to get a hand on or a foot on, and just sprinted around him and tapped it in. Really, really fun touch around the goalkeeper from Whitmore. And then a second goal in a week stemming from a long throw. This lad Jenkins has got a hell of an arm on him. The centre-back they signed from Haverfordwest. And there was Shepherd getting on the end of a flick on and scoring at the back post. So between the two goals, Zanev saves, 7 Welsh players in the starting 11, exactly what Newport fans are hoping to see, basically, a team with a strong Welsh identity that is developing players and at the same time managing to be difficult to beat, tougher to break down, and not an easy pushover. And that's exactly what David Hughes said he was going to focus on when he came in. And I would say the early signs are pretty good for a team that were expected to struggle. Notts lost at home to Salford. What happened here?
Another header from a set piece for, as with every single game in the whole league, in all leagues. Oluwo, who scored was a big goal threat for Barnet in the National League, opened the scoring with a really decent header. With 10 minutes to go or so in the first half, for Kelly Mai made it 2-0 to Salford. What they deserved before Luca made it 2-1. Jaden Luca with a goal with kind of 15 minutes or so to go. Like with Notts County, 2 games into the season, an away game at the favourites for relegation in Newport where they nearly lose it and score a goal, an equaliser through a penalty, having had a lot of the ball, and then losing at home to Salford, who themselves lost on opening day at home. It's not a good start, I wouldn't say, to the new Martin Paterson era at Notts County. Obviously early days, but again, I'm still kind of baffled as to how a manager who had them in the top 7 last season was hounded out so unanimously. Because right now they look to me, albeit the loss of McGoldrick clearly plays a part in this, and Abbott as well, but they look to be so far this season, the 2 games not up to the level we saw for the best part of last season. A big result for Salford though. A lot of high hopes for them this season to put right what happened on opening day, and they do seem to be carrying a really decent attacking threat already this campaign. So a big result for them.
Word of advice: don't take the lead against Swindon. Or I suppose if you have to take the lead against Swindon, don't get comfy. Don't pat yourselves on the back. They'll come back. They've gained more points from losing positions than any other side in the top 4 tiers since the start of last season. That's 28, if you'd like to put a number of points on that. And they did so here. Brophy putting Cambridge ahead, but Swindon coming roaring back, scoring the next 3. I've spent the last 4 or 5 years, I'd say, wondering like what type of striker is Aaron Drinan.
Like non-stop.
Yeah, no, like monthly, I'd say. I think this, and because
Do you have an alarm on your phone that goes off and it says Drinan?
No, it just comes to me naturally.
Wow.
It just comes to me naturally because it's a topic that interests me. What he did here is something I want to see a lot more of when it comes to Aaron Drinan, because he's like, he plays with Harry Smith. He's kind of the forgotten man in the Swindon attack. But here he gets on the ball, far from goal, speed through the middle, close control, shift onto his weaker left foot. At least I think it's his weaker left foot. Maybe this is what he's been hiding the whole time. And just smashed it in the far corner. Just a brilliant individual goal that'd be great to see more of. Harry Smith got a back post header across from Snowdon. And then a really funny assist where Finlay Monroe at the back post volleyed a cross straight into the ground that bounced, looped up perfectly onto the head of Darren Oldacre to make it 3-1. Those are two new names for me, the wing-backs of Swindon, Joe Snowdon and Finn Monroe. Snowdon on a permanent after release from Leeds, youngster, and Finn Monroe on loan from Villa. Swindon then kind of just sat back. They didn't have a shot in the last half an hour. I don't love how they allowed Cambridge to come onto them here instead of just seeing it out with comfort and ease. Kai scored to make it 3-2. But that was that. So a good win for Swin. A good win for Bromley as well, 2-0 against Barnet.
Really good win for Bromley. Barnet's struggles this season continue, though. It's been you and I held, and I think still hold out pretty high hopes for them. But having been knocked out of the preliminary stage of the Carabao Cup, they then lost 2-0 at home to Fleetwood and now lost 2-0 away at Bromley and are yet to score in the league. Cheeky, as he always does, scored the first goal here to put Bromley 1-0 up. Barnet had a few opportunities in the second half to draw level. Both of them, the two best ones, falling to Joe Hugill, who put one in the side netting and had one decent chance saved. And then a really poor bit of play from Kane Smith. We know that Barnet looked to dominate the ball and they looked to take risks on the ball. But Smith basically just passing it straight into the path of a Bromley player, and then the ball coming through to Kabamba with a nice finish in injury time to make it 2-0. This is, I think, for Barnet, who like to play a certain way up against a Bromley team who are very, very strong in the way that they defend. This is a matchup that maybe the way that Barnet dominated games in the National League, they come up against kind of more resolute opposition here and basically been done. It'll be interesting to see how Barnet look to get out of what is a bit of a rut, to be honest. And if they look to change their style of play at all, I hope they don't, because I think it will come. But yeah, for Bromley, a home win, their first home game of the season, and they've dispatched tricky opposition comfortably.
Gillingham beat Walsall by a 1-0, a game that won't win any beauty pageants. A goal that certainly won't. Bradley Dack smashing in after a bit of a goalmouth scramble following a long throw. Ainsworth very happy with Josh Andrews, came off the bench and provided physical presence here. I think Ainsworth just realised it was going to be a match just full of sort of shelling it into the box and wanted Andrews' height rather than Bodé's pace. And it seems to have paid off. A narrow victory. Glenn Morris with a couple of saves, according to Transfermarkt. His 121st clean sheet in Sky Bet League 2. That's the most in the fourth tier since 2004, overtaking Scott Brown. So Glenn Morris, League 2 goalkeeping icon status secured. And then two draws, Harrogate 3, Grimsby 3. This one was 0-0 at half time. I think it's great that you then get 6 goals in the second half. Really, both sides having a bit of fun here. Mikulski looking quite dangerous for Harrogate. Won a penalty and got an assist for Conor McElhenney. 3-1 up Harrogate were, but then Harvey Rogers from range and an amazing leap in the centre of the park from young academy product Cameron Gardner, who outjumped Anthony O'Connor to send Jays Cabia through. That man, Jays Cabia, is what we're starting to call him, to finish, to equalise 3-3. And I must say, Grimsby do look very slick. Not just Cabia, but the wide players, Vernham and Burns and Walker are playing nicely. The midfield I mentioned last week of Curry, Green and McEachran all looks pretty good to me, and probably were the better side overall here. 3-3 draw at Harrogate. And then Oldham 1, Colchester 1. Jack Tucker with a back post header put Colchester ahead. Josh Hawkes with a cross that went all the way in to equalise. And then Oldham had loads of chances. Kane, Drummond, and Quigley in particular. Drummond basically managing to clear the crossbar from about 3 yards out at one point. But I think, performance level, the bodes pretty well for Oldham. And Colchester starting with 2-1 draws. They were the drawriest team in the whole League Two last season with 19 in 46 games, and it's 2-1 draws to start the season. So not necessarily seeing the kick-on progression that maybe we would have hoped to. But we can finish on a really exciting note, a note of discovery, George, with a game that I'd like to call Ultimate Lisby. And that's
a good name.
Just to tell people the exciting discovery that not only, right, does Cain Lisby exist, the third brother, that I was adamant existed and certainly does, and is, of course, a social media assistant at UEFA. But also, Cain Lisby, who just signed a pro deal with Colchester United. There's only 4 of them.
I think that was because they listened to the pod last week. We got to get them out there.
Well, it's funny you say that because we did 1 or 2 tweets, just further enjoyment of the Lisby situation, of Ultimate Lisby. And Cain, who's the one that you brought up, who's
UEFA.
Still playing in non-league but does socials for UEFA, he quote tweeted one of our Ultimate Lisby memes with 10 crying, laughing emojis, which I think shows why he works as a social media assistant for UEFA. That's good stuff. I then sent him 2 heart emojis, a blue and a yellow one, to represent our pod colour scheme. And he just replied with a picture of him playing at Plough Lane, Wimbledon, I think for Crewe Valley Paper Mills, maybe a youth team against the Wimbledon Academy team. And I guess he must be feeling a bit left out.
He knows where you live.
But I'm thinking we need to get him an EFL professional contract.
Yes, I agree. Also, just love the fact that Kevin Lisby just decided he was going to have, he couldn't choose if he had sons or daughters. He may have daughters, we don't know, but just all K names.
Yeah.
Just K's all the way through.
Good names.
Yeah.
Good names. Good game of Ultimate Lisby. Thank you very much for listening to the pod. Please make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel if you're watching it there. And if you're listening on Spotify in particular, a quick 5-star review that takes just seconds gives us a bit of a leg up on the old algorithm as well. So please do. And thank you for listening to our weekend recap. Thank you to Sky Bet and the Sky Bet EFL Building Foundations Fund for being our title sponsor today and all season long. We're out on the road all season and looking forward to telling you those stories throughout the campaign. Cheers and go well.